Yo.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys?
Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in 3, 2, 1.
I welcome you again. I welcome you to this channel, and I say, let us now move to this case of Nandipha. It's difficult, but we are juggling
Nandipa and
Bester. And the rest, by the way, because there's more. And now they've become main characters also, those people, due to the manner in which they're approaching this case, making someone feel like they're going cuckoo. For me, that's the feeling I felt for Kennel.
Hey, is that jig?
That jig is into. The people that were ready to confess and all that, I think they're changing now.
They're changing
Very
their
interesting.
minds. They're changing their stories.
Okay.
Ziyakhala.
It's alleged. Let us go, Emily.
So, all 8 accused in the Thabo Bester escape saga appeared in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court on Tuesday. The bail hearing for the 5 of the accused will continue on Friday, while the main criminal trial, in which accused, including Bester, face a total of 16 charges, has been set for June the 20th. So yes, this is what happened yesterday, and I'm just gonna go through the highlights. We're not gonna cover it like how we usually cover normal court cases, because I feel like there's so much to go through, and yet we have so little time. So the court day started with the virtual appearance of Thabo Bester, who escaped from Mangaung Correctional Facility, Correctional Center on the 3rd of May 2022. He appeared via video conference from Kgosi Mampuru Prison in Pretoria, a 5-hour drive from the court. So this is probably the reason why they saw it fit to have a virtual appearance for him, as opposed to the normal appearing of him in court, because they'd have to drive for 5 hours from Pretoria to Bloemfontein, which is not ideal because he was yet to get a date for his next appearance. So he just needed to appear, apparently. So Bester appeared with a shaven head. You know, he cut off that head. Why do I feel like maybe he's seeing what's happening on social media? I mean, we had a lot to say about the type of hair that he has, and now all of a sudden he cut it off. He shaved it all off. So now he looks like the guy in 2011 who got convicted for R-ing, R-A, you know the word, as well as killing. So he looks like that guy again. His hair is gone. So yes, and he also had a Burberry hoodie. Now apparently, Mr. Anonymous, that Burberry hoodie cost
around 19,000. Yes.
That's someone's
Apparently.
salary.
Apparently.
Even I don't earn that much. And I'm like, yeah, he has money, this guy. No wonder why. I mean, for a hoodie, you'd pay that much. Wow. So the state applied for the case to be postponed to the 20th for further police investigation.
Right.
So Bester's legal representative, Nandipha, did not oppose the postponement, but did express his concern that he's unable to take confidential instruction if Bester appears virtually in an open court. And you know, this is what he does, right? This is what he was doing to Ishmael attorneys. You'd be calling them, or they would be consulting with him on a regular basis while he was appearing in court. So that's what he wants. It looks like it, because as an attorney, you do take instructions from your client, right?
Okay.
So I feel like Bester wants to not to have things fly over his head. So he really wanted to be in that court himself. This virtual thing, I don't think he's feeling it. And the lawyer expressed that it's not ideal. He asked the magistrate Mohlolo Kabisi to consider following Bester to come to the court on Wednesday to bring a separate matter before the court. And Kabisi asked Bila to explain what the separate matter entails, and then Bila said it would be in the interest of justice for the court to satisfy itself that the man in the dock is indeed Thabo Bester, and also referring to the death certificate issued for the burnt body in Thabo Bester's cell on 3rd of May, Kabisi insisted that the court did not have sufficient evidence that it had the correct person before the court. And I also think he used Nandipha as a first court appearance where she was instructed by the court to remove the mask, to just make sure that the person they have before them is the actual person that got detained from Tanzania. Do you remember that? He used that example in saying that because you insisted on knowing that the person who was before you, who was wearing a mask and a hoodie, was the actual person.
Yes.
The same needs to apply with Thabo Bester. In this case, we need to make sure that the person before the court is the actual person. He used that reason, and he also used the death certificate, which I'm surprised that death certificate is not revoked already. I mean, it should be gone.
Well, let us give a bit of clarification if there is any. So, Emily, if someone is arrested without any identification, there is a warrant of arrest of J50, right?
Okay.
So typically, we would expect the court to sort of terminate that when they are apprehended.
Okay.
Right. So, in this case, obviously, to do that, you would typically need an identification. You know, you would need to be identified properly. But what this man is probably looking for is a trial within trial.
For
the identification part. So he's going to the direction of saying that I do not believe that this person was identified initially. But the downfall to that application at this current in time is that the initial lawyer who was appointed by Baxter did not go through that initially. So he wants now to flip and say that it was not our attorneys, it was the initial attorney. Which probably is going to say maybe there's a reason why they were terminated.
But they did try to bring it up. It's just that the court was not going to entertain it at the time. He did try to.
The court does not have the power to terminate the warrant solely based on the absence of the ID or of an ID. However, the individual can make certain steps to address the situation. Obtain the legal presented, obviously we have that. Verify the identity. The individual should cooperate with the authority and provide as much information as possible to establish their identity. This may include personal details such as the name, address, date of birth, and any other identification they can provide. Okay. You know, and I think that's where they are trying to go to. You know, the request that if the person is arrested, a person is unable to obtain the identification documents immediately, their lawyers can file a motion or request a hearing to address the issue of identification before the court. The court may then evaluate the evidence and circumstances presented and determine the appropriate course of action. So I think this is where they are trying to go now. They're trying to go to that direction of saying that, no, we were not identified. And I look further then. What happens if a person is presumed to have passed away? This is while they are actually alive. The legal process of that to rectify the situation involves certain steps.
So what would happen in that case?
Can you just continue a bit? Then I will give you that information.
Okay, another thing is that Thabo Bester had to confirm whether his former legal team is no longer representing him. And he did exactly that. And I think Ishmael attorneys made a formal withdrawal in the court to say that we're no longer representing this client. So And also, Kabisi insisted that the court did not have sufficient evidence that it had the correct person in court. The
Yeah.
state prosecutor, Kutiwa, he chuckled at Pila's suggestion, but now I don't have any beef with the current prosecutor. The prosecutor. He chuckled, wagging his finger at Bester, who appeared on a big screen. He said, there is a person in the accused box that happens to be Thabo Bester. Then Magistrate Kabisi said, this court has got no reason to believe that the wrong person was brought before the court. Bester's case was then postponed to the 20th of June.
You see, they are trying to, the judge is trying to say that you will have to, the onus is on you to prove that this person appearing here is indeed not Thabo Bester, which is part of the proceedings.
Okay.
That's what is happening. But this guy wanted to fast forward that process to say that this is not Thabo Bester. And if then this person is not found to be Thabo Bester, therefore the other cases then would evaporate.
Daddy chant. The court, magistrate, prosecution, court officials, and the media then moved to a different courtroom for Nandipa Magudumana's appearance. So Magudumana also appeared virtually from Kroonstad prison where she is being held. So the interesting thing about Magudumana's appearance is that we kind of were let known on that morning that she'll be appearing virtually. We did not get privy to that information prior to her court appearance.
Yeah.
And as per usual, Ugel had the makeup on. Ugel had the,
Yeah.
A lot of people were annoyed and irritated seeing her laughing, brushing her hair. It's almost like she's not taking this whole thing serious. I don't think she's... Wake up, you are in trouble. She's not feeling that pressure.
No.
She will not let the problems that she's in reflect on her face. And per usual, she had makeup on, pink lipstick this time around, and it was a spectacle in that social media streets. They were not happy with the fact that it looked like she's not taking this seriously. So Pila is also representing Magudumana and did not oppose the state's application for her to return to court on the 20th. So what is happening with Dr. Magudumana is that
a few, Emily, because we are already in Dr. Magudumana. So what this man is trying to do in terms of even that death certificate, he's saying that he wanted to say that the state must gather evidence. The first step is to gather sufficient evidence to provide that the person in question is alive, which is the state is kind of refuting and refusing to that direction to say that you do that then if you feel that this person is not Bester. Prove to us that he's gone. This may involve collecting documents, witness statements, photographs, or any other evidence that establishes the individual's continued existence. And then obviously they would have to file an application. A formal application needs to be filed with the relevant court to request the overturning of the presumption of death in this case. So you wanted to go to that direction of saying, then we must overturn the certificate of death. But I'm not going to do it because now, how is he going to prove that this person is not Thabo Bester? That's basically it. Then there should be a court hearing, and then the court order, and that either concludes that this person is not presumed dead, is alive. Then therefore there's evidence of saying this person is presumed alive. Then you can therefore continue pressing or forging with your charges or whatever that you wanted to do with this person. So if you were to be wronged or something wrong about maybe your finances, someone takes your finances, then they claim to have passed away, then that's what you have to do. You have to collect evidence and say this person is actually alive. Once you do that, you obviously go the legal way and then file for application for the court to actually look at your evidence. After that, there should be then court hearing that tells you, then where you tell them that this person is alive based on 1, 2, 3. This is what I have. This is the person, and then the court then should overturn that the person is actually passed away. Then after that, you can continue with the charges. But the state is not ready to do that. Which is, remember when I said these things initially. Remember when I said I wonder how they are going to deal with that issue. And
when
then,
we were asking about
yes,
the ID.
Yes.
Well, Home Affairs said that they did not issue any IDs for Thabo Bester or any of his alias identities. So they were all fake. He was moving around with the fake ID. And the interesting thing is that he had bank accounts.
Yes.
I would like to know how that happened.
It will be very interesting to know how it happened, because seemingly he's ready to refer to them, in a sense that when they were even talking about what we call the evidence of the other accused, they mentioned the TK guy, which the very eloquent lawyer who speaks very fast, and it was like saying
Well articulated.
it could be any Thabo Bester. It could be any TK, by the way, because the reference to that is just TK. There's nothing more to it.
And
And
they
then
are
now
very
this,
well aware that he
yes,
was
this
using
is the
fake
problem
IDs.
now. This is the problem, because if you don't have an ID number or anything, how then do you prove that this is the person? And how was that account opened then? Did they use a different account number?
Asazi, that is what.
Have they
I want to know.
frozen that account, by
Have
the
they
way?
frozen those accounts? Number one.
Because it seems as if people are getting paid, as this man is investigating.
It
Man is
looks
moving.
like it.
And all of a
Money.
sudden, people are singing a different tune. It's
but-
alleged, obvious. We're not saying that's
Allegedly,
okay.
yes. So, and also, Magudumana's lawyer told the court that she still intends to apply for bail, and says a date will be arranged with the state. So I'm even surprised that she's intending to apply for bail. It's her right, but should she be granted? I don't know. I'm not sure. We had tax money, 1.5 million rands of it was spent to get her back to South Africa. So I don't know how that will turn out.
It is her
Maybe
right.
that's the reason
It is
why
her right, because
it keeps getting postponed.
it is her right,
postponed.
because if she feels that she will be accepted in our community and she's not in danger, well, she should apply for it. And considering that the cases that were heavy have been dropped, such as murder, so you can apply for that. She can.
Okay, now going
In
on.
a manner though which they were dropped, it is surprising me, because listening to Kenel, it seems as if this man is still standing on the side of saying that it is murder.
But the problem is proving it. He's having a
Exactly.
challenge with proving it. Can the people who saw Katleho collapse at that taxi rank please come forward? Something, anything. Please help this investigative officer, because Zakala, and without evidence in court, it's really difficult. I mean, you could hear that the man is really, really doing his job, but there are certain parts where he's having problems, and that is with witnesses coming forward, in my opinion. So, yeah, in a third courtroom, the other alleged conspirators sat in the dock for the continuation of their bail hearing. Magudumana's father, Zolile Sekeleni, was excused and told to also return on the 20th of June. Remember, he got his bail of 10,000 rands. Okay, that was extended to him, I think it's a couple of weeks ago. His bail conditions included that he needed to report to Port Edward Police Station weekly, and he left the former employees of Mangaung Correctional Center, Senohe Matswara, which was accused number 1, Motinyane Masukela, Tieho Mahota, and Nastasia Janssen, as well as Tebogo Lipholo. Now, Tebogo Lipholo in this case, I think, is accused number 3. So the reason why I say them like this, because I feel like as we start talking about the court proceedings, you should know who accused number 1 and 3 are in particular. So a CCTV technician and former employee of Integrated Security Services, that's Lipholo, is accused number 3. So during last week's bail hearing, the investigating officer on the Bester case, Lieutenant Colonel Thabo Bester, gave startling testimony of how Bester's conspirators allegedly helped orchestrate the escape. Now on Tuesday, the defense cross-examined the investigative officer and Matwara's lawyer, Kagisho Murori. I couldn't hear properly. Murori.
I couldn't hear either.
Challenged the investigative officer's previous assertion that Matwara and Katlego Bereng, the man police believed was found deceased in Thabo Bester's cell, were drinking partners. I think to me this was the most troubling one. I felt like the defense attorney wanted to know who are these people that confirmed that Matwara and Katlego were drinking together. He said there was an error in the investigative officer's testimony that Matwara also had visited Lesotho 8 times. But I think before we move on, is there anything you'd like to say with regards to that part where they said that they were drinking together, and it seemed like they were pushing the investigative officer to reveal
the witnesses that should approve that that is the case? Yes, it did sound like that. Talking about the times and all those things, yes, it did sound like that, because he wanted to. I mean, what makes it difficult is that if this bail application is turning out to be not even poking, the word is not even used right, to be sort of wanting to go deeper in what evidence should look like, or what is in that evidence. Yes, without entertaining the merits of the case, as they would claim that they were not doing that. They were just taking the cream only, which to me look like some of these questions are triggering the evidence itself to say, prove that this evidence is there. And the only way of proving that the evidence is there, if people are going to say that there's this person who's going to testify and that person is going to testify.
Hey.
You see, and that sort of now compromises the case. And then considering that there's allegations, even in that case, that this man is part of a number something.
He's part of a gang.
Yes.
Allegedly. Okay, there were allegations that he is part of a gang, and
we know. I mean, to a bit deviate in South Africa, considering us watching some of the channels that are really talking to people who are ex-offenders, and they tell us that some of these warders, guards, they become part of the number.
Your agenda network, we heard that being said. There's so many of them on YouTube where they discuss what happens in the prison system, and yes, it's not as shocking,
yes,
not a surprise if that allegation is there, and also the investigative officer's testimony is that Matwara had visited Lesotho 8 times in 2 months, but here he was corrected. Apparently when you go to Lesotho, you get a total of 2 stamps when you get in, 2 stamps when you get out. So 1 trip is 4 stamps. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. But
was it 8?
Yes.
No. It's 8 stamps. 4 stamps when you get in, 4 stamps when you get out. Because
no, it's 4 stamps. 2 stamps in, 2 stamps out.
Then how did
he
come
16.
to 2?
There were 16 stamps.
The lawyer said he took 2 trips.
No, he said he took 4 trips. I heard it properly yesterday. I even wrote it. 16 stamps, equivalent to it's 4 stamps. A complete trip is 4 stamps, in and out. 2 in, 2 out.
And then he had to correct it at some point. I don't know whether
He corrected it, saying that because the guy thought it's 2 stems in, it's 1 stem in, 1 stem out, which makes it, if you divide 16 that is there,
8.
it's 8. Then that would be 8 trips. But he said it's 4.
It's 4 trips.
Yes.
Right.
So that means you have to divide by 4.
Yeah, I heard that correction where he corrected himself that it was actually 4 trips. And apparently he had gone there for an initiation event.
And a girlfriend, taking a girlfriend to the what? So the girlfriend, I guess, has relatives that side.
That side. So the defense attorney debunked that he had relatives in Lesotho. That is not the case according to what his client has told him, because the investigative officer has heard that he actually has relatives in Lesotho.
And he claimed that the people that side are just people who have similar surnames. What? I do not understand that then how, if you are visiting them and they have similar surnames to you, don't they qualify to be your relatives?
So Muriri also argued that his client needed to be granted bail because he complied with the police during his arrest and had handed over his passport, meaning that he is not a flight risk.
In fact, I would argue otherwise. Considering how South Africa and Lesotho, the borders are porous. I mean, we are since to talk about the issue of the taverns, that the incidents that were happening in taverns. We are hearing allegation that those people are some of them are from that side. We are struggling to get hold of these people. So based on that, I would not agree with them.
I also don't agree with that part. I mean, you have a passport to Lesotho.
Even
So
if you don't have a passport to Lesotho,
there's
you
a-
know Lesotho. You are a traveler, and you actually can have proper life that side because you speak the same language as them.
And also, Murori asked the investigative officer why he made this statement, to which the investigative officer replied that Matswara is linked to gangs. And Murori also questioned the investigative officer's previous assertions that the community of Bloemfontein is enraged and will take the law into their own hands. Well, that didn't need difficulty proving. I mean, there's footage from the news channels. Of some of the people expressing how angry they are, of the community. So I don't understand why he wanted to debunk this.
No,
but-
he tried, and basing it on numbers. And my question is then, is the community formed when the complete number is there? Or he was then looking at the majority?
So he wants thousands and thousands of people to be a threat versus
Versus a
50.
number is. So he's now looking at stats, population, and all that, which to me is it might sound intelligent, but there's nothing into that. I hear people saying that this man was discrediting the
investigative
No,
office.
no, because the number is there. This man did indeed say that there were people who were boycotting this, and those people, they are the community when they are there, regardless of the number. Only except if it's one person. Can it be minority and still be community? Yes. It can. They, as long as they belong there, the
they form
Bloemfontein
part
people,
of the community.
whether the Bloemfontein people was 10,000 last time you watched them, how then do you go on and prove that this is now the Bloemfontein supporters? This is no longer Bloemfontein. This is not the Bloemfontein supporters if they are 50.
Ari, you indicated members of Bloemfontein Celtic supporters club didn't want accused one to be granted bail. And the investigative officer said yes, not only accused one, but the community against all of the accused. They don't want them to be released on bail. So, Uzi, do you know if Bloemfontein Celtic Social Club still exists. And I'm like, what does this have to do with? You know, when he asked the existence
The man was
fan club,
alleged to be a secretary person for this, right?
the deceased,
The deceased, yes. So, was he a secretary of non-existing supporters?
It wasn't a secretary, it was a deputy chair of the fan
Of
club.
the fan club, yes.
I gave him a side eye on that one. And even that legal aid lawyer for Senohe Matswara used the same thing to try and debunk the existence of Bloemfontein Celtic. Just because Bloemfontein Celtic no longer exists does not mean that the fan club
as a team,
no longer exists.
As players. But it does not mean that the fan club they don't exist. Those people were together because of soccer.
Yes.
That was the main thing.
Yes.
Then there was a club that they followed. It's gone, but they didn't divorce loving soccer.
And the investigative officer also expressed that they actually support another community
Morumo
club.
Gallants.
Yes. So I was like, hi. So Lipholo's legal representative advocate Sutlego Mokamedi took issue with the investigative officer's testimony that Lipholo had approached the police with information. According to Mokamedi, Lipholo said that he was the first person. He was first approached by the police and then arrested. So we were told through reports that he handed himself in. And the lawyer is debunking that part. He's saying he did not hand himself over to the police.
No.
He was called by the police and then arrested. He was even saying he was called at a mall, some mall in Bloemfontein. Was it called? I forgot the name. But he was called at a mall, and the police officer said that they should meet at that mall, and he ended up getting arrested. So the investigative officer was like, police work is not conducted at a mall. So he has no records of that. What he knows is that he handed himself over at the police station. He even has an affidavit of a police officer who arrested him in a sworn affidavit under oath.
Look, it's gonna be back and forth.
It is.
And if you look at the cooperation or the coexisting or the energy together between the two, the advocate or the attorney from what is it called?
Legal aid.
And then this one who's looking like he's not from legal aid.
That one looks paid, Baba.
Yeah.
That
So,
one is fighting passionately.
there is going to be a problem because now what is seemingly happening is that perhaps if they are teaming up, then all the things that are going to seem to debunk the situation of or the information that was given to this Colonel and other police.
Yes.
But at least then some of it was taken under oath. Without being then, I have not heard them saying they were coerced.
One thing that I felt threw me off guard was when Muriri, the defense attorney for accused number 1, Senohe Matswara, was including accused number 3.
As if it's a
Before we
mouthpiece.
even found out from the legal representative of accused number 3.
Hey, that's where you feel like, okay, these people are kind of working together. It's a feeling.
He's like accused
And
number
the
3.
lawyer for accused number 3 was not objecting.
He was not saying anything.
And the judge, they had to sort of highlight that, to say
Yes.
that. But so,
Why are you speaking on behalf of accused number 3?
considering what was said in that accused number 3 was afraid of accused number 1 because of the many things that were being
Happening at that
canvassed
time.
in that court. If anything, if they seem to change that story, allegedly, if they seem to change that story, obviously it's going to make the Colonel look not credible, which is, I mean, what we're seeing allegedly with Mtogo.
Even with Musia, we saw that kind of because he's forensic what, right? He's working for the police. So we saw that kind of approach that, it wasn't done according to procedure. So this was the approach as well, that the investigative officer did not do according to procedure. So, and at the same time, I also felt like these two lawyers...
Even if you did it procedural, if they twist from that...
They change their stories.
It becomes then you against them, and then it becomes the issue of that you didn't do it procedural.
Mm-hmm. And the investigative officer in this instance, one was saying that at some point, Lipholo was telling them that he doesn't feel safe.
Yes.
That he wanted to be detained in another prison away from accused number one.
For those who do not know who Lipholo is, I think you should explain who Lipholo is.
Okay, Lipholo is the security for integrated services, the CCTV camera footage company that was working in G4S at the time. And another surprising piece of information that came out
is that he was not fired.
He was not dismissed. So he's saying on the day he got arrested was his day off from work.
So did the G4S people come to Parliament and lie? That's a question that
we have to ask ourselves.
Because now we have to align when this thing happened.
Because they said he got dismissed and they told the investigative officer the same thing.
Did they speak beforehand and then did it later?
Because it's very troubling that he didn't get
Which
dismissed.
Then would be creating holes into this case. They would have to be held accountable for that.
Because they said it in a parliament.
Yes.
We were all watching.
Yes.
And
If indeed that is the case, they are creating unnecessary holes in the case that could see these people walking.
But who? I was so shocked to find out that information, guys. I was shocked. I was like, what? So, what is happening? I'm getting dizzy. Well, in that affidavit that they made while he was getting arrested is that, and I quote from this affidavit, in his affidavit, my client said he was at Mimosa Mall. That's the mall I was talking about earlier, when he was called by the police. And you said he's the one who called the police, meaning they complied and provided you with more information. So why do you say that he must not be granted bail? Asked Makamedi, the legal aid lawyer, the representation for accused number 3. So that is something that really, really made us dizzy. Okay, there's a lot that happened in that court case that left me feeling confused. But one thing I have to commend is the judge. I saw something that I'm not used to with this other case. Mr. Anonymous, I don't know whether you noticed there were points in times. I remember the first time where they were trying to include the murder charge when Muriri was speaking there, representing his client, and he was like, the murder charge, and then the judge intervened, but that charge is dropped. So I don't understand the relevance of you bringing it up, You're
trying to make him look like he does not know what he's doing after giving him the compliment of 28 years of work. He was trying to discredit him.
And also that part where he's implicating accused number 3, he came through and said, but I don't see how you can be speaking for accused number 3 when they have their own legal representative. However, I was kind of disappointed with the prosecutor, the state attorney.
Yeah.
He wasn't as active as one would expect, especially with something that's going to help your case. The investigative officer was being cornered and was being put under unnecessary pressure, and he was just not.
And he's obviously not a lawyer. Even though he's a policeman, he does not know most of these things. More so the bail and whatnot. Yes, he knows a bit of it.
No, I got
criminal terminologies that are coming from lawyers is not well acquainted with.
Yes, with like laymen. That's what they call people that are not in the law fraternity, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like the investigative officer needed help with regard to some of the. There are some parts where I felt like maybe he should object or something, and it was like he wasn't there, and I'm like, the investigative officer has literally your case. He has things that will help your case.
He's fighting for your case. Without him or discrediting him and taking him off the case pause.
At least object, especially when it comes to being forced to reveal witnesses before the trial even begins. That priority of safety, I feel like even Advocate Baloyi on the other case fights for it way better than this one.
Speaking of Advocate Baloyi, we have seen how the normal court, I would say, moves. This is something to be looked at. In Senzo, this is not the pace we move at. This is the fastest it gets. The decision, the judge was very decisive in taking some of those objections that were given in terms of reversing the order in terms of media initially when it was canvassed by the very same man, I think. Was it the very same man?
Yes.
Who was canvassing why the media is there.
Yes.
Obviously, media put pressure on this case.
Yes.
He would be happy not to have it so that he can then make the court look so small. Like with the media, it looks so big. He tried many times to canvass the issue of why the media was there, and then the judge then sort of tried to explain in saying that because we took a decision without the presence of the media about the media, then that invalidates the order in its own. So then the guy was arguing, saying that then it should be therefore upheld and reversed by the higher court than the one that they were at, meaning that the media must take it up there. But what the guy was arguing based on is similar to what I think former President Zuma was arguing about previously. It's you cannot take a decision in my absence and expect me to appeal it on a higher court. I have to open it in the very same court because the same court it took a decision that is not binding in a sense because it's invalid. Then if I feel there is a resistance, or then I go further. You can't just move up like that. I mean, we have seen the situation where the people take higher steps, like going up without consulting. Sometimes they can take you back to that court. So it is well within, I think, the judge to say that I am reversing that. I am correcting myself. And what's the point of court? What's the point of law if we cannot correct? So you need now to wait and waste time while the court is proceeding, because he knew that if the judge was to agree with him, then the media would have to switch off immediately, and then they would have to canvass that on the upper court.
So even with this one, there was some drama between the media and the court. Remember last Friday, they didn't want a live broadcast. So we didn't get to see live what was happening in the court. We had to play catch up after the broadcast with some of the footage, which was highlighted and very much summarized.
Yes.
So we were not able to see it on Friday, what happened in court live.
Yeah.
But then the media came through. They challenged this whole denial of broadcasting,
Which is the same argument that
we are currently
at
with the Senohe trial.
With the special one. It's the same argument that we are currently at, but they can actually even borrow each other's arguments in a sense.
So the magistrate said that invalid orders are not binding unless they are being appealed, and the magistrate ordered that the amendment to be put into effect, and the media was allowed to broadcast the proceedings live.
Yes.
So the Bloemfontein Magistrate Court
Very
amended
decisive.
a previous order that barred the media from broadcasting live the bail application. So the court said that its previous order was myopic, as the media was not allowed to make its submissions in court on the matter. Yeah, it felt
admitting to
like
video.
like an ambush on Friday where they
Yes,
just
yes,
showed up and
yes.
then they are given this letter told that they shouldn't broadcast.
And wherein the person who brought it wasn't it the state itself,
It was.
in a sense that they are afraid that some of the information will go out. But the people that they should be afraid of, in fact, is lawyers themselves, the defense.
Yes, the defense.
Because you cannot be fearing us. We are just
The way they were pushing
people.
for those witnesses to be revealed kind of gave
I'm
me the
surprised that
creeps.
this man was not objecting to some of the questions
They
that
were giving me
we're seeking
chills.
to reveal who's going to testify and where. And we are told that according to this canal, already there are people that there's a list that this man the Senohe or
Senohe
the
Matswara.
accused number one
Senohe Matswara.
is having allegedly about the people that would come and testify.
And they were like, well, nothing happened to those people so far. So what makes the investigative officer so certain that he will pose a threat to those people that testified against him for him to be dismissed at G4S? And I'm like, yo.
Well, ML, do you have anything?
No, for now, that's it, guys. We had to make it squeeze it in so that you guys are fully updated, especially if you couldn't watch the whole court proceedings yesterday. I hope now you are caught up with some of the highlights, and until the next court appearance, we'll try and report it to you guys and give you some of the most highlights until the trial begins.
All right. Thank you, guys. Please subscribe and like the video. Thank you.
By the way, this was a bail hearing. It was a bail application.
Yes.
It wasn't even trial yet.
Yes.
So yeah, until the next one, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, share, and like the video. And bye.
Bye.